Okay, so the internet has officially lost its mind. We are literally 2 days away from the series finale of The Boys, and somehow someone, somewhere got their hands on what appears to be a full breakdown of episode 8, titled Blood and Bone, and just threw it onto the internet like a grenade. And now the fandom is on fire. Some people think the leaks are real. Some people think it is all an elaborate troll job. And some people are so deep in denial that they have convinced themselves the whole thing is a VOT disinformation campaign. But here is the thing, I have gone through every piece of evidence I could find. The cast interviews, the trailers, the social media posts, the Reddit threads, the stuff that got deleted. And I am going to walk you through why I think at least the core of these leaks is real, and why the finale might actually be the ending this show deserves. No fluff, just the breakdown. Let's get into it. First, let's establish what we are even talking about, because there are multiple leaks floating around and they do not all agree with each other. So let me give you the version that has the most consistency across sources. According to the most credible version of the leak, which allegedly came from someone inside the VFX team, here is how Blood and Bone plays out. The episode opens with the boys mourning Frenchie. He died in episode 7 after exposing himself to uranium radiation to protect Kimiko. The team is broken, grieving, and that grief is exactly what lights the fuse. Meanwhile, Homelander throws a press conference at the White House. He declares himself, and I am not joking, the God of America. He tells the reporters that anyone who does not believe in him will face consequences. And you know what happens next? The reporters' heartbeats spike. They are terrified. And Homelander, who can hear every single one of those hammering hearts, completely snaps. He kills everyone in that room, on live television. And it gets worse. The leaks describe him skinning people, murdering a pregnant reporter. The kind of violence that crosses a line even by this show's standards. And this is not Homelander being calculated and political like he has been all season. This is Homelander going full feral. After that massacre, he heads to the boys' headquarters looking for them. They are already gone. But he finds Terror, Butcher's dog, who, in classic Terror fashion, pees on his boots, and Homelander lasers him in half. That is the moment that breaks Butcher completely. Now, across the Atlantic, or technically from New Zealand, Ryan sees what is happening, and he flies back. He chooses a side, and it is not his father's. The final battle takes place in the Oval Office. The boys, Starlight, Ryan, Kimiko, and some of the Gen V crew versus a V1-powered Homelander. Kimiko, who has apparently absorbed Soldier Boy's radiation abilities, lets out a massive blast. Huey, who has been carrying the virus all season, gets it into Homelander's system. And then the most terrifying man on the planet becomes just a man. And Butcher kills him with a crowbar. The ending montage has Butcher moving to Hawaii alone. The boys visit him sometimes. Starlight and Huey eventually settle in Mexico and raise Ryan together. Ashley escapes to France. And in the post-credits scene, Soldier Boy gets one last moment of relevance. Now, is any of this actually true? Let us break it down piece by piece. Let us start with the detail that is the most controversial, Butcher surviving. This is the one that has fans most divided. Every theory, every logical arc for this character points toward him dying. He is a man who has been driven by nothing but rage and grief since the pilot. He is terminally ill from the Temp V tumors. The entire narrative seems to be pointing toward him going out in a blaze of whatever passes for glory in this show. And yet, Karl Urban, who plays Butcher, posted a photo on Instagram during filming. In it, he is standing on a beach with Jack Quaid, who plays Huey. Urban is wearing the black trench coat, the one Butcher never takes off. His caption, just the word Finn, as in the end, as in this is where we wrapped. And the location tag on that post, Hawaii. Now Urban is a professional. He knows what he is doing. He could have posted that from a private beach in New Zealand where they filmed a stand-in location. But here's the thing, there is no reason to tag Hawaii specifically unless that is actually where they filmed. Studios do not want location spoilers. The fact that this slipped through is either a genuine mistake or Urban just does not care at this point because the show is done. Either way, that beach, that coat, that location, it lines up directly with the leaked ending. And here is something worth thinking about. Butcher surviving is actually not as crazy as it sounds thematically. This show has always been about consequences and cycles. If Butcher dies, the story ends with a martyr. If he lives, broken, isolated, unable to rejoin normal life after everything he has done, that is actually the darker, more interesting ending, living with what he has become. That is punishment in a way that death never could be. Now here is where things get really interesting from an evidence standpoint. Before Season 5 premiered, Anthony Starr did an interview on The Kelly Clarkson Show, and he said something that should have sent alarm bells ringing across the entire fandom. He said, "And I want to get this right, the worst thing I have done is yet to come. If you think killing children is bad, just wait." Okay, let's sit with that for a second. Over the course of this show, Homelander has let a plane full of 123 people die. He has committed sexual assault. He has psychologically tortured people into suicide. He has beaten his own son. Most recently this season, he has been pushing into full authoritarian territory, filling camps, controlling the government, consolidating power. And Anthony Starr is sitting there telling Kelly Clarkson, with a smile, that none of that is the worst thing. Episode 7 came and went. Fans thought the worst had already happened. Starr said no, not yet. If the leaks are accurate, we now know what he was talking about. A live televised massacre. The murder of a pregnant woman, skinning people on camera. These are things so extreme that even by this show's boundary-pushing standards, they would make audiences physically uncomfortable. And here is the detail that makes this even more chilling when you look at it through the lens of what the show has been doing this season. Homelander has been building himself up as a religious figure. Father, his evangelical ally, has been positioning him as divine. The press conference where he declares himself a god is the logical endpoint of that entire arc. And the moment the reporters do not believe him, the moment his heartbeat-hearing ability turns every terrified human in the room into a trigger, that is the breaking point the whole season has been building toward. That is not just shock value, that is the show's thesis statement. Unchecked power mixed with a messiah complex and zero accountability ends in a massacre. And unfortunately, that theme lands a little differently when you look at the world outside the show. One of the things that gives me the most confidence in these leaks is the cast interviews. Because actors are put in an impossible position when it comes to spoilers. They cannot lie outright, but they also cannot just hand you the ending on a plate. So what they say tends to be very carefully chosen. Karen Fukuhara, who plays Kimiko, said in an interview that when she read the script for the finale, she genuinely could not figure out how they were going to fit everything into one episode. She said she kept wondering if it was even possible. And then she added, "And they did it." That is not a nothing statement. That is an actress who is genuinely surprised by the ambition of the finale script. And if the leaks are accurate, that tracks. You are talking about a White House massacre, a massive battle in the Oval Office, multiple character deaths, an emotional resolution for nearly every surviving character, and a tonal shift to a quiet, melancholy ending montage. That is a lot to land in one episode. Erin Moriarty, who plays Starlight, went even further. She said the finale was her favorite episode of the entire season. She said the audience will be, and this is the word she used, immensely satisfied. She then said she never makes predictions like that, but she had so much excitement and confidence in the ending. Now look, actors have to be diplomatic. Nobody in the cast of Game of Thrones was out here going, "The last season is a disaster, don't bother." They all said nice things regardless. But there is a difference between a polite non-answer and what Moriarty said. She made a specific, enthusiastic, borderline reckless claim that fans will be satisfied. That is either genuine belief or the best PR performance of her career. I choose to believe it is genuine, and if the leaks are what the finale actually delivers, I think she is right. Let us talk about what we can actually confirm, because the trailer for Blood and Bone lines up with the leaks in ways that are hard to dismiss. The trailer confirms the finale battle takes place at the White House. The leaks say the same, with the specific detail that the Oval Office becomes the final arena. The trailer shows the boys mourning Frenchie. The leaks say the episode opens exactly that way. The trailer shows Butcher saying, and this is a direct line from the footage, "We need to end the whole bloody notion of sups." That is entirely consistent with the leaked idea that Butcher, after Tara's death, goes into full berserker mode and wants every single Supe dead, not just Homelander, all of them. The trailer also strongly implies Starlight killing the Deep, which lines up with the leaks. Ashley is shown escaping, which lines up. Ryan is shown having a confrontation with Homelander, which lines up with the leaked idea of Ryan choosing to stand with the boys. Now let me talk about the soundtrack for a second, because this is a detail that the original post about the leaks actually broke down really well. One of the finale tracks is titled "To the Tower." Some people took this as evidence that the final battle is at Vought Tower, not the White House, which would contradict the leaks. But there is another reading. The leaks mention that Homelander goes on a rampage through Vought Tower earlier in the episode, purging anyone who is not loyal. To the Tower could refer to that sequence, Homelander marching back to his domain, executing the disloyal, consolidating his terror, before the final confrontation moves to the White House. Another track is called "The Wreckage." If you picture the aftermath of a White House battle, bodies everywhere, the most powerful institution in America turned into a war zone, that title fits perfectly. This is not confirmation, but it is consistent. Here is something a lot of people are sleeping on in this conversation. the leaked ending has a surprisingly strong connection to the source material. In the Garth Ennis comic run that the show is based on, Homelander's death comes at the hands of Butcher. The final confrontation between them is brutal and very human in its execution. No laser battles, no CGI spectacle, just two broken men trying to destroy each other. In the comics, Terror's death is also a catalyst for Butcher's final rage. It is one of the details that pushes him over the edge. And here we have the leaks describing almost exactly that same emotional beat, Homelander lasering the dog, Butcher snapping. The show has never been a direct adaptation. It has changed major characters, killed people who lived in the comics, and kept people alive who died there. But Eric Kripke has always said the comics were a reference point for the emotional truth of the show, even when the plot diverged. The leaked ending feels like a version of that. It is not a copy of the comics, but it is clearly drawing from the same emotional blueprint. And frankly, if you are going to end this show, ending it with Butcher finally killing Homelander with something as raw and unglamorous as a crowbar is exactly the kind of anti-superhero ending that The Boys has been building towards since day one. Now, I want to be honest about the parts of these leaks that I am less confident about. The biggest issue is that multiple leaks are circulating and they do not agree on everything. One version says Starlight kills the Deep. Another version says the Deep actually survives and appears in a spin-off. Those two things cannot both be true, and that inconsistency is worth acknowledging. There is also some confusion around what exactly happens with Soldier Boy in the post-credits scene. The leaks acknowledge they do not have full details on this, which is actually interesting. A fake leak would probably just invent something dramatic. The vagueness here might actually be a sign of authenticity. The Kimiko gaining Soldier Boy's radiation powers detail is one I have not seen confirmed anywhere outside the leaks themselves, and it requires a lot of narrative setup that may or may not have happened off-screen. And some fans have pointed out that the ending montage, everyone going their separate ways, Butcher alone in Hawaii, Huey and Annie in Mexico, feels almost too clean for a show that has never done clean. The Boys has always punished its characters. Does it suddenly give most of the survivors a peaceful resolution? Maybe the whole point of the ending is that peace is the hardest thing to earn in this world, and the fact that these specific people managed to claw their way toward it is meaningful. Or maybe the show goes somewhere darker and the leaks are wrong about the tone. We will know in about 48 hours. So here's where I land. I think the core of these leaks is real. I think Butcher survives. I think Homelander loses his powers and gets killed like a regular person, which is poetic. I think Starlight kills the Deep. I think the episode is going to be violent in a way that genuinely unsettles people, and I think the finale ends on a note that is quieter and more melancholic than the chaos that precedes it. But more than any of the specific details, what gives me confidence is the cast. These are people who have been on this show for 5 years. When Erin Moriarty tells you she is excited and confident in the ending, she is not reading from a press release. She has seen it. And she means it. This show started as a satire about what happens when power goes completely unchecked. It then became something bigger, a story about trauma, loyalty, what violence does to people who live inside it, and whether any of them can find something worth holding onto on the other side. If the leaks are right, Blood and Bone gives all of that a real ending. Not a perfect one, but a real one. May 20th, we find out. Drop a comment below. Do you think the leaks are real? Are you going in spoiler-free, or have you already read everything? Let me know. And if you want to see the full leak breakdown with all the sources, there is a link in the description. See you on the other side of the finale.